Tonight, the Target 12 investigators are fighting fraud. Major developments in an exclusive investigation. How can you forget this undercover video exposing waste inside the Department of Labor and Training? 4 fraud investigators caught by our undercover unit running personal errands and spending R&R on taxpayer time. Tonight, the fallout. We'll tell you about changes to the state's fraud unit and what's happened to these government employees. Target 12 investigator Tim White has the latest with his exclusive findings.
When we brought our findings to the director of the Department of Labor and Training, she said they too were working on accusations of waste inside the fraud unit. After our investigation aired, the 4 workers were suspended with pay. Tonight, 2 are back to work and 2 are no longer employed by the state. In this Target 12 investigation fighting fraud, we followed the state's 4 fraud and overpayment investigators. Their job takes them on the road investigating phony unemployment and disability claims. Their daily itineraries obtained by Target 12 are supposed to tell their supervisors where they are and when.
All right, Tim, we're on them.
But often, we found them miles from where they claim to be, at home, or doing personal business. For example, this itinerary submitted to a DLT supervisor shows on September 14th, investigator Deborah Lombardi was supposed to be on Howard Ave in Cranston at 2:30 p.m., but we found her at home. Time and again, we found a pattern of questionable behavior over several months of surveillance. After our request to interview the investigators was denied, Ms. Lombardi, Tim White from Channel 12. We caught up with Lombardi leaving work last fall.
On my investigations, I can't comment.
But your itineraries show you're not investigating. The itineraries I have right here, you say you're out doing an investigation, but we found you at home. How do you explain that?
Have a nice weekend.
I can say that Ms. Lombardi is no longer with State Service.
Was it resignation or termination? DLT Director Sandra Powell says she can't get specific on personnel actions. But the president of the union that represents these workers tells Target 12 they are fighting the termination of Deborah Lombardi. In a statement, Local 401 President Marilyn Tipton says, "We are going to be consistent with the credible evidence out there and not the sensationalized evidence put out there by Channel 12, and we'll take the appropriate actions as we always do." But Powell says before Target 12 came to them with these findings, they had already started their own internal investigation into the fraud unit.
We really took a look at the unit and we really revamped our processes, both the internal processes in terms of how the unit functions and also the oversight of the unit.
Director Powell says they now have a management person dedicated full-time to the fraud unit, and they've revamped their itinerary reporting process to tighten up on oversight of the investigators. As for the 3 others, Alan Bosworth retired shortly after the report aired. Investigator Clarabelle Torrero is back as a fraud investigator, and David O'Brien is now working in the Unemployment Insurance Call Center as a senior employment and training interviewer. Powell says by law she can't comment on the level of discipline, but the union tells us simply they are fighting all disciplinary actions.
I would say that our investigation was a solid investigation, but it was certainly added to by external information. Both the Bureau of Audits, Channel 12's film was very important, and then the additional work that the state police did.
Powell says they asked the state police to step in to explore the possibility of criminal charges. In the end, a state prosecutor decided not to press charges. In a letter to the state police, Assistant Attorney General Patrick Young says it would be difficult to file charges based on edited video from Channel 12 rather than state police surveillance, and of all the months' worth of findings used in our report. On just 2 days, a separate witness each for 2 of the investigators recalled them working around the time our undercover video clearly had them out on personal business. And because their job legitimately takes them on the road, it would make it hard for prosecutors to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The prosecutor says while all employees did to varying degrees take advantage of the loose work environment and lack of supervision, it was Deborah Lombardi that troubled him the most. She certainly personifies all that is reflected in the public stereotype of a lazy, arrogant state employee. He goes on to write, "There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that her employment with the Department of Labor and Training deserves and needs to be terminated." Once again, our request to interview the fraud investigators, this time through the union, was denied. The union president tells me the termination of Deborah Lombardi will most likely end up in arbitration. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.